For those of you who've been watching my channel for a while, it's no secret, I love budget guitars. But did you also know I have an affinity for unique and innovative instruments? So that's why when Donner reached out and offered to send me a Hush X to review for the channel, I was really curious to see how this travel guitar would work out. So in this video, I'm gonna take a closer look at this travel instrument that fits into this small, compact box. I'll do a full unboxing, demo, and review of this instrument to find out whether or not it's worth your time, effort, and money. Let's dive in. All right, so Donner Hush X, let's get it open. Look how little this case is. That's really wild how small to think that there's a guitar in here. All right, so let's open the top portion here. This is where all of the accessories are, the extra arms on the instrument. Oh man. I'll be sure to leave affiliate links in the description. Just keep in mind, I may earn a small commission from it. Oh, no way. Would you guys look at how little this thing is? I mean, look at my hands compared to the size of the actual body on this to give you an idea of how small this is. And I haven't obviously put the body attachments on it, but even if you were to play this on stage as a headless, this thing is really small and really light. So what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and do an overview of this instrument and give you guys an idea of what you can expect if you buy one. So this is the Donner Hush X out of the box and with the attachments on. You can take them on or off rather easily. There's a little like spring-loaded mechanism here that kind of clicks into place and really kind of interesting. Helps give it shape, particularly if you're gonna sit down and play the guitar to kind of rest it on your leg. You don't have to have those on there. It's definitely a lighter instrument without them. So if you're gonna play on stage, you don't have to have them. You can play it as a true headless. And it's kind of a nice option. So what I'm gonna do now is go over the specifications of this guitar because there were a few things that kind of jumped out at me right out of the gate. So with regards to specs, this guitar is a mahogany body and a mahogany neck. It is a neck through instrument. I did get that wrong in the previous overview video that I did. It is a neck through. Starting with the bridge, it is a typical type of static bridge you'd find on a headless instrument. This is not a trem system on here. It is tunable right from here, and I found it to be relatively easy to tune. From there, the pickups are a humbucker and a single coil. You have a three-way selector switch here, and you have volume and tone all condensed into one knob, which bottom moves for volume, top moves for tone. As mentioned before, the neck is mahogany. It is a 22 fret and a 25.5 scaled instrument. The frets here are stainless, which is fantastic for a guitar of this price point. At the time of this video, this guitar is roughly around $300, but my favorite feature to this point is going to be the fact that these are ball end frets. So you have a budget instrument that you don't have to worry about sharp fret ends, and right off the bat, like the moment I picked the guitar up out of the box, I was like, wow, okay, this is great. There's no sharp fret ends, nothing to worry about there. The fingerboard is an HPL fingerboard, and if you don't know what that is, that's high pressure laminate. From everything I've read on it, it has a lot of benefits to it, which the big thing is it's less susceptible to environmental changes. If you live in areas with high humidity or dry heat, areas where those change a lot, that can cause issues, dry out your fretboard and whatnot. So this guitar will be less susceptible to environmental pressures. With regards to action, it was definitely acceptable and the guitar was playable out of the box, but I do prefer my guitars to have a little bit lower action. In checking out the neck, it appears there's a little bit of front bow, and if you really want to get the action super low, you can make a simple truss rod adjustment by removing this screw and plastic cover and just making a minor truss rod tweak. And if you're interested, there's a ton of videos on YouTube on how to do this. Lastly, the neck shape is a gradient C, and it is a 14-inch radius. This neck definitely has a little bit of a fatter feel. It's not as fat as like a Les Paul traditional, but it's definitely not slim like, say, a Jackson neck. It has a little bit more of a meatier feel to it, and it is a bone nut. And again, another nice feature on a budget instrument and a 0 fret, which this is probably the only guitar that I have with that. I know that Philip McKnight did a big thing on 0 frets a while back, and I watched it, but of course, like anything else, I didn't really pay attention, so. Yeah, it does have a 0 fret and a bone nut. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some demos together for you, give you an idea of how this thing sounds. And from there, I'll do a full review, give you an idea of the pros and cons of this instrument and whether or not it's worth your money. So that should give you a good idea of how this guitar sounds. I think these pickups do an excellent job of making up for the lack of tone wood on this instrument, and they give you excellent clean tones. They give you really phenomenal lead tones. The only real sacrifice here is metal rhythms and just lower end. It does tend to get a little bit muddy if you don't EQ it out, simply because the pickups have a little bit more mid-range, and that's kind of your trade-off. They have that more mid-range to kind of compensate for the lack of tone wood. So with that said, let's get into what I liked about this guitar and what I felt they could improve. And the first thing that I really liked about this guitar should be overly obvious because it's a travel guitar, but it's extremely portable. When you compare this guitar in its case to the size of a Fender Strat case, a standard hard shell guitar case, you can see this case is literally like 40% of its size. I found this extremely easy to throw in the back of the truck and just take wherever I wanted to go. And the guitar breaks down so quickly that there's really no obstacle to being portable. The reality is if you had a kid that was in band or a kid that's gonna ride his bike to band practice or even to guitar lessons, this would be something to seriously consider just because it's light and portable. Aside from folks looking to be portable and travel, this would be an excellent stage guitar for anyone with back issues because this thing is super light. The guitar literally weighs under 5 pounds. The second thing I really liked about this guitar is how good it sounds despite its lack of tone wood. And you guys can argue about tone wood all you want in the comments. I'm really not here to debate that. But what I can tell you is they did an excellent job of fine-tuning these pickups to compensate for the fact that there isn't that much wood there. And as mentioned before, the only real sacrifice is deep low ends with distortion. Does get a little bit muddy, but it's very simple to EQ out. All in all, you end up with a very light, portable instrument that sounds fantastic, had excellent clean tones, and had an excellent lead tone. I had no trouble getting harmonics out of this instrument either. The third thing that I really liked about this guitar was quite surprising, and it was one of those things that I didn't even notice until I looked at the specs after they sent me the guitar, is that it has stainless steel frets. I happen to be a huge fan of stainless frets, and it's not that common for guitars around the $300 price point to have, so the fact that this instrument had them was a real plus. The fourth thing I really liked this guitar, again, plays back to the frets, and it's the fact that it had ball end frets. If you're not familiar with ball end frets, it's literally just a rounded fret end, and on a budget instrument where sharp fret ends are pretty common, the fact that this has ball end frets and you don't have to worry about it is really a nice feature. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, it was the very first thing I noticed when I grabbed the guitar to pull out of the case. It's like, wow, these fret ends are really smooth. Look a little bit closer and notice that they're ball end frets. Very nice touch for a $300 guitar. The fifth thing I liked about it is that it has a bone nut. And this does appear to be a genuine bone nut. When I looked close at it, you can see the grain in it, so I don't think it's tusk. I do actually believe them when they say that it is a bone nut. An excellent feature, again, at a guitar for this price point. The sixth and final thing that I really liked about this instrument was the price point and all of the accessories that they give you with it. This guitar literally comes with everything you need. You have a cable, a strap, a case. They give you a strap for the case, They give you the 9-volt battery necessary if you want to use headphones or an auxiliary output. In fact, they even give you a set of headphones with it. They also give you all the necessary tools you'll need to make adjustments to the guitar along with a set of picks, and they even threw in a clip-on tuner. What's really cool about having the preamp in this guitar is being able to plug a set of headphones in, or really any speaker that has an auxiliary input. And while this guitar doesn't have built-in effects, they have a new model coming soon that does. So if that's something that intrigues you, be on the lookout for the latest model. And as always, it isn't all sunshine and rainbows, and pretty much every guitar that I've ever reviewed either has cons or room for improvement. This guitar is no exception, so let's take a look on what they could improve on. And the very first thing I noticed that I kind of felt like could be improved is the placement of the input jack. And here's why. When you plug in the input jack here, okay, you notice it's right up against this here. And while it certainly doesn't bother me sitting down, perhaps if I was playing on stage or moving around a lot, putting pressure up against this, I think will ultimately shorten the lifespan of this input jack. Obviously, the quick solution to that would be to use a cable with a 90-degree male input side there, okay? And Donner should probably consider shipping this with that style of cable, just to decrease the any type of tension on that input jack. And the second thing that I felt they could probably improve on are the switches. The volume and tone in one switch, to me, if you got big hands and big fingers, it's very easy to adjust both when you're only trying to adjust one. I wasn't a crazy fan of that. And this particular 3-way switch, while I think it's really cool and it's unique and I don't know, it looks cool and different, it's a little difficult to nail which position you want while you're playing. If you're the kind of person that switches positions, and I do that while I'm playing, I found it a lot more difficult than the 3-way toggle. But overall, I thought this was a super cool and wildly innovative instrument. If you're the kind of person like me who likes unique and innovative stuff, this is definitely something that I would have on my radar. And while I don't travel a lot, I do go outdoors a lot, and it would be kind of cool to have this sitting around the campfire, you know, plugged into a small little amp or something playing, and be able to just simply travel with it, put it away, keep it in a tent. I think that is definitely where this guitar excels. So if you want to know more about this guitar, be sure to check out the links that I'll leave in the description. I'll put links to Donner's actual store and to their Amazon store. And if you found the video helpful, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I always have more guitar-related content like this coming down the pipeline. And as always, thanks for watching.